Welcome to Touched and Empowered, a show created to empower individuals to value their lives by hosting think tank discussions that will inspire positive action. Touched and Empowered with Katie and Ace starts now. So welcome to this episode of Touched and Empowered. I am Katie here along with Ace, and I am excited to share our very special guest today. We have Dr. Peggy Woods. Dr. Woods holds a master's in theology and a doctorate in ministry. She is the CEO of Write, as in WRITE, Now Publishing Company, which is a professional writing firm that writes and publishes books. Dr. Woods or Dr. Peggy. I'm going to call you Dr. Peggy. I'm sorry. Dr. Woods is just too formal for this podcast. But she helps busy entrepreneurs write best-selling books fast so they gain credibility, leverage their influence, and leave their mark on the world. She's an international best-selling author, international keynote speaker, a ghostwriter, and a writing coach. And Dr. Peggy is here to share all kinds of goodies with us. So welcome, Dr. Peggy.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I thank you for inviting me to be part of this wonderful podcast.
Well, I'm excited that you're here just because I like talking to writing coaches, because that was never my strong suit.
Oh, yeah. You just corrected my grammar, so I think you're pretty good in grammar.
Oh, good. It's always better. It's always great to be better than whatever level you think you're at.
On my bio, I said, okay.
Instant upgrades. I love it.
Yes, welcome, Dr. Peggy. I have to share, Dr. Peggy was I think I met you at Manny Lopez's event. Yes. And, she had such a stellar stage presence. It was very quick. And at the time, I was looking for somebody who could help me write a book. And it actually had to do everything to do with dating. And then I was like, I don't want to talk about that anymore. Let's talk about fantasy novels. And we've sustained contact. It's an on and off project, so we'll come back to it. But so that everybody is aware, Dr. Peggy is such an excellent writing coach. I honestly believe if you can get in contact with her ASAP, her number is actually on her profile if you're watching the YouTube video. And from there, learn more about what she can do. With that being said, I have a few questions for Dr. Peggy. Ready?
I'm ready for you, Ace.
We're excited.
So tell me about art. Can you explain that to the listeners?
Art. Okay, so I like to use an acronym called ART. And if you have a pencil and paper, I encourage you to write it down. So you write the word art going horizontally down your paper.
You mean vertically?
Vertically down your paper, sorry.
Okay, I'm watching you go vertically while you were saying horizontally. So I want to make sure we're writing it down.
We're starting off great already.
I think I got it. I got it.
So you write the word art going vertically down your paper, and it stands for authenticity, rapport, and transformation. And so I like to, these are some of my favorite tips that I like to give people who want to write a book. And these are the three things that make up the biggest impact in your writing. Authenticity is very important because you want to be real with your audience. You want to be open. And Ace was saying, she didn't really want to get into dating at that time because she would have to really get into dating, right? She would have to really tell her story and really be vulnerable in order to connect with the person and to invoke change. And so authenticity, telling, the truth, not necessarily talking so much about what other people's stories are, or the psychologist said, you can add that. But what happened to you? How did you feel? What lesson did you learn from it? So being authentic is very, very important when writing a story. And also, people ask me about AI. So this is the question today. How is AI affecting your business, they ask. Well, it really doesn't affect my business per se, because the people that I work with, they want to tell their stories. They want to create. Like, I know when working with you, Ace, it was just dynamic. It was bouncing back and forth and creating and being able to use our brains that to express what we have gone through or what we want to express, because you are wonderfully made. You are unique, and no one can tell your story like you do. So I'm not really saying don't use AI, but I personally use AI as a tool. I use Grammarly, which is AI to correct grammar. I might have a question, so instead of Googling it, I'll use AI. It's a tool. It's a good tool, but it cannot replace your story. So that's when it comes to authenticity, you want to be careful with that. And you also want to be careful of plagiarism, because the internet is going out and is getting information from everywhere. And you don't know what part of it has been copywritten. So that's the A, authenticity. Also, the R is for rapport. You want to build rapport with your reader. So you build rapport through getting involved in networks, being involved in masterminds, groups, but you can also build rapport to when it comes to writing your book, and you can build that rapport before the person even buys your book. So you might be saying, well, how do you do that? Well, your front cover. If you have a degree, you put you put your degree on there. You put the name of your title and the subtitle so people will know what you're talking about. On the back of your book, you might put your story. You might put your bio. So if they're in a bookstore and they look at the back of the book, they'll know about you. They'll know if they want to connect with you based on what's on the front of your book and back of the book. Well, say it's not in a bookstore. Say it's on Amazon. And you know how Amazon, you open those few pages and you see the sample? Well, you can build rapport by putting your testimonial in the front of the book, or putting your bio in the front, a testimonial on the back, or by having a foreword written by an influencer in that area of whatever your book is about. So that's how you build rapport. And then transformation comes from telling stories. And I know you've all heard stories sell and facts tell. And it's true, because people connect with you through stories. And I have a quick little story that I want to just read. And it's not a complete story, but it's part of a story. When I wrote my first book in 2014 called 10 Tips for Power Thinking, I wrote a story about vision, because I believe that we can change the trajectory of our lives, we can change our minds, we can change everything about us by being positive, by having a perspective that the glass is half full and not half empty. So last winter, is it okay if I share this, you guys?
Please,
Yes,
do.
please.
Okay. So last winter, I was sitting in my living room, enjoying the sound of rain hitting the sidewalk and the echo of the planes flying overhead. Brilliant flames illuminated through red cinnamon candles in my fireplace. A blanket and hot cocoa warmed me inside and out as I typed on my laptop. Using all of my senses, I could smell the cinnamon in the air and taste the white chocolate. I heard the raindrops pouncing on my rooftops. The sound of rain, it relaxed me and sent my thoughts into faraway places. I imagined myself in one of them, on my way to the continent of Africa. I leaned back in my soft leather seat aboard a luxurious 757 Boeing airplane. With the clouds beneath the wings, I was flying over a distant land to explore the countryside and the customs of its people. I was filled with joy and anticipation. So that's just an excerpt, a little excerpt on how a story draws a person in. It causes you to connect, and it causes transformation. And that's my art.
That's a great way to bring in everyone's senses. The way how you started that, I'm just fascinated with it because you brought in, what it sounds like with the rain, what it tastes like with the hot chocolate, what it smells like with the cinnamon. And it actually, for me, it felt like I was like there on that journey with you. And that was really cool.
Awesome. And Katie, I'm glad you said that too, because drawing in the senses helps you connect with more of your audience. So if you're an audible person, you want to hear the raindrops. If you are someone who's visual, you want to see, you want to paint the picture so they can see what you're saying. And if you're a kinesthetic, you want to touch. So that's the method that I use to draw in all of my audience. Everybody gets to be included, as opposed to just saying, I saw this, or I saw that, I saw that. So that is very perceptive of you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's so interesting. We were talking about stories before this call. Always fun. And, Dr. Peggy Woods has an incredible story herself. And could you tell us a little more about this concept of pain to purpose?
Okay, so
Thank you.
Thanks for asking. Pain to Purpose was actually the title of just a story I just wrote, which gave me the bestseller. But everything I believe that pain is required for purpose. It's required for your growth. It's required for you to have learned a lesson of strength. And so my story starts this way. Well, I kind of remember it like it was yesterday. It was in the early 2000s, and I had been married for over 20 years. But most of the time, it was an abusive relationship. You see, I was married at 18, and my husband was 24. We had 3 beautiful children, but we were unhappy. On the outside, we looked like we were the perfect couple strolling down the street with our kids and young, but we behind closed doors. He called me all kinds of names. He hit me when I didn't agree with him. You see, Gerald was what you call a narcissist. So one day I decided I wanted to write a letter to him, and in that letter was poetry. It was the first time I had really written something in that regard. And I never heard anything from him. He didn't say whether he read it or not. I didn't know anything except that when I came home from work, I went straight to my computer and started to write. You see, therapy, it was my therapy. Writing was my therapy. I'd go to women's groups and I'd recite my poetry and look down and I'm reciting and I didn't hear anything. And I'd look up and the women were weeping because it was therapy for them too. But as for Gerald, he told me, I don't want you to write anymore. I don't want you to write these stories, these poems. What I want you to do is tear it all up and throw it away. But you know what? I couldn't, because I had lost my voice in that relationship. I had lost my will to live in that relationship. and I had lost my identity. And writing was the little piece I found of myself. And I was not willing to let it go. So by that time, my kids were grown, and after 28 years, I finally found the courage to leave him. And I went on to become a journalist, writing for newspapers and magazines. I wrote my first book in 2014. This book I showed you, 10 Tips for Power Thinking, and I wrote a workbook, a journal, an affirmation book to go with it. I wrote another book called 5 Easy Steps to Self-Publishing to help other people publish their books. And lastly, I wrote The Image of a Woman from a Hebrew perspective, because I found out in Proverbs 31, the virtuous woman, from a Hebrew perspective, that the word virtuous means strong, mighty, powerful, capable, and wealthy. And how cool is that? Because it doesn't mean that in English. So I knew that I was destined to write. I went on to a workshop, and in that workshop, coach asked us, who wants to be anointed? And I'm like, I do. So I was a very wealthy businessman, and he was wanting to anoint whoever wanted to be anointed for business. So I went in the room and along with other people, and he reached up and pulled a bottle down off the shelf, a small little jar. And he poured this oil in his hands, and he poured it in my hands. And I rubbed my hands together, and I really felt the power of the Holy Spirit in that place that day. And I didn't know what to expect. This was in 2007. I didn't know what to expect, but within a month, I had Right Now Publishing Company. And so you just never know where life will take you. Life took me from a painful experience to my destiny, because now I know not only was I destined to write, I was anointed to write, and I was commissioned to write. So that's why I write today. The problem is we all have a story, but we're not going to write it in a book. 97% of people never finish their story. And if you don't write your book, if you don't tell your story, the person that needs your story, hear your story, will never hear it. And if they don't hear it, you take it to the grave with you. But it doesn't have to be that way, because I teach busy entrepreneurs, how to write best-selling books fast, so that they leave a mark in the world, so that they gain the credibility that they're looking for, and they can leverage their influence. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
All right. I got to tell Les Brown that you were on our call. That was amazing. Thank you very much.
That is really empowering. And the strength that you had to hold on to this little tiny glimmer of light that made you happy in this extended period of time that was, I'm just going to say uncomfortable, because being in a long, extended, uncomfortable relationship is probably the easiest word I could use right now. But the strength to hold on to that one thing that was yours is amazing.
Yes. Well, I had lost everything. I didn't have anything left. I didn't even know what my favorite color was. When I finally left, my friend and I would take walks during our break at work. And I would just be like, look at the flower. Look how pretty that is. Look, I see the sky for the first time. It was crazy. And I know maybe somebody can relate to that, but I was so down. I couldn't see the beauty of the world. I couldn't see the light. I couldn't see the flower. I couldn't see anything. I had lost everything. And when I found something that I didn't know I had, that was given to me from the foundation of the world before I was even born, I wasn't willing to let it go. I couldn't. Yeah.
Wow.
And so that goes for everybody here listening on this call. We are all here for a purpose. You have a purpose. It's designed for you, to give you a sense of worth, to fulfillment. But in the interim, as you give, other people receive. That's what life is about. It's about finding your purpose, persevering. Don't give up. Don't say, oh, I'm going to throw in the towel. I'm going to leave this place. I don't want to be here. I'm leaving. Please don't. Because you will find on the other side is your joy, is your peace, is your love. It's indescribable.
That really embodies empowerment right there.
Yes. Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, it's a very interesting time. I actually, speaking to, I kid you not, 5 young ladies over the past week. They were all going through some type of separation or breakup or relationship issue. And there was something about it where, I was like, sometimes when you anchor yourself into, let's say, the thing that's you, that you love, that you just have to keep giving, like being able to write, or just being able to do what, even though you're giving, it still feels like you're receiving.
Yes.
Right. That means you're fully engaged in what you need to be doing and what you need to be creating and what your mission is. Because if you feel that when you're giving, you're receiving, not everyone feels that whenever they're doing just anything, right? That relationship tends to come your way as well, or the better one. And it's very fascinating because I've been experiencing that when you're seeking that fulfillment outside of yourself, and I'm like very curious to hear what you think, Dr. Peggy. If you're not doing what you love, do you feel that other people fall into the same trap and then they surround themselves with things that actually don't love them back? Just a very interesting philosophical question I wanted to throw out there.
Yeah. That's too deep for me. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Ace. You have great wisdom. I believe that. I believe that too, that the focus is not on you when you're not doing what you love. The focus is on the external. External can't give you fulfillment.
Yeah.
So no matter what relationship you are in, and I'm not condoning divorce, and I'm remarried, happily remarried. He found me.
Woohoo! See what I mean about the writing? Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 4 years now. And that's another thing, don't give up hope. I mean, I was single if you add the numbers up, you'll probably see how old I was. But I was single for over 17 years. But I was living my best life, single. So yeah, it's very important that you just find yourself. If you're in a relationship, especially as a young person having kids and trying to raise the family, you just sometimes lose yourself.
Mhm.
And then you're just going through the motions. And a lot of people divorce after the kids are grown, which to me, that's ridiculous. That's the time to party, right? Kids are grown, yay! It's you and me. But because they didn't find the fulfillment in themselves, or maybe they grew apart, or whatever the case, but it certainly helps to feel to be in your purpose. It doesn't always happen right away.
Mhm.
I was in my 30s when this happened. I found what my passion was. And then recently, not even later, I found, oh, you know what? I should have been in something creative all my life. So just, take your time, because, life is really a vapor, but it causes processes to come alive in you. And even though it's short, it feels short because you don't really come into your own until you're older.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not on the older side of
No, not yet, baby.
video. Hi. But it
The
is
baby
something
of the
to look
group.
forward to.
Yeah. But it varies for different people, because some people at my age are all retired and they're just like sitting on the couch and looking at TV all day. So it just depends on the person. I had so long of going around in circles, coming back and saying, I'm still here. Wait, I thought I went past there, to the point where I'm on a mission and I will not stop until I take my last breath. Because life is good.
And I think having a mission that feeds your soul makes it so it's not work.
Yes.
It makes it so it's fun. It makes it so it's exciting. It makes you want to continue doing it.
Yes. And I have another book coming out too. So I'm doing the ebook for it that I'm going to give away. Unfortunately, it's not ready yet. I do want to give away something though, possible.
Okay.
But I don't know the name of it yet. It's a writer's guide. So it's going to help you write your own book.
Writer's guide. Ooh, we should put that in the comments.
I'm thinking definitely the link is going to go into the show notes for this, because that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't give it away because I'm not finished with it yet, but maybe another time when I get it ready, I can give people the link, but I do have something I do want to give away.
Okay.
For your audience. It's a book. It's a book. It's the 5 Easy Steps to Self-Publishing. And it has a little bit about marketing, a lot of things you don't know about publishing, as far as, first of all, the word publish just means to make your book public. Okay, so once it's ready to go, it's published. Right? Writing it and editing it is the pre-publishing stage. Publishing starts at formatting and getting it into print or getting it out as an ebook. This book talks a little bit about marketing within your book. You always have to be intentional when you do things, right? You market in your book, and it talks about font types for different genres of books. I mean, things you don't really know, and things that I learned when I first published my book. So if you want my book, I want everybody to pull out their phones. Pull out your phone, and I'm going to give you a number to text to, and you can get my book for free.
What?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's an ebook, so. Okay. The phone number is 866-217-4813. 866-217-4813.
So what do we need to text?
Text, yes, text that number.
Is there a word that we need to put in?
Yes, the word is publish. And if you look at my backdrop, you'll see how to spell publish, because it's an easy word, but it's not that easy to spell sometimes. So publish, you put the word publish in there, hit the send, and you will get a link to my book.
Publish, got it.
That's
There we go. I will make sure that is in the show notes. I put it in the chat right now for the Zoom room, just so then that way I had it for later.
yeah, I see that.
Yes, thank
Ooh,
you.
yes. So that's
Aw.
a gift to the audience, and my donation to the Teen Suicide Prevention Group. And,
Thank you. That was received and greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Peggy.
yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate you all for stepping into your purpose and to help others, prevent teen suicide. Because I heard a statistic that the rate is going down, like the kids who want to commit suicide are like 13, 12. And because my neighbor she used to work the hotline. And so it's really, they don't.
The ages are getting younger.
Mhm,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's more seen now, and definitely more like it's quite the movement that we're creating, right? And
Mhm.
understanding that it is hitting younger, thereby we need to also create the right strides
Mhm.
to support as many people as possible.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so thank you for your contribution and your donation and being with us today. We really appreciate you for everything that you do and everything that you've shared with us.
Yes, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you with your audience as well.
Yeah, we love having such beautiful hearts and stories and such an incredible, generous person with us. Everyone, thank you for joining, and feel free to download that link or go to the link, that we're going to have in the chat. Please feel free to reach out to Dr. Peggy if you have that beautiful story that needs to be shared with the world. And as always, stay happy and empowered. We're here for you. If you need anything, feel free to listen to us. Send us some messages, right, Katie?
Send us messages. I've got my list of questions for a future episode that we are going to go through and answer all of those. So looking forward to that as well.
Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.
Thank you for joining us. We hope that the discussion today will inspire you to take positive action in your life. Until next week, be empowered.